Here are 3 potholder hacks you can use. This project was inspired by Mom Home Guide on Hometalk. Grab a coordinating kitchen towel and potholder. Fold the towel and lay it out flat and place the potholder right in the center. Pin or clip it in place. Then head over to the sewing machine and sew it straight down the middle. Now grab a button and sew that onto the potholder. This cute towel will now hook onto the handle of your stove or your dishwasher. It looks great and it's functional. Sew on a piece of elastic, creating 2 loops. Flip the potholder over and use some fabric glue to attach a long piece of ribbon. Slide your toothbrush and toothpaste into the elastic, fold it in half, and tie the pouch together with a ribbon. Toss this in your bag and you're ready to go. Grab a potholder and some quick dry fabric glue. Fold it in half and glue it on just 2 of the sides. Hold it in place until the glue is completely dry. This will slip right over the handle of the pan and you can pick it up and protect your hands. Those are 3 hacks you can do with potholders. I hope this inspired you to make something.
Begin by taking a standard-sized bathroom towel, fold it in half. Next, grab the top left corner and fold it in towards the center. Do the same with the bottom right corner so they overlap slightly. Fold this in half. At the bottom, begin rolling up the towel towards you and tuck the last corner of both towels into the center. Voila! A neatly tucked towel ready to be put away. If you're looking for a fun way to display your tea towels, with the towel face down, grab either side and fold it into thirds. Take both sides and fold them in the center so that one end is slightly over top of the other. Place your first tea towel into the center of your second and scrunch the first one. Fold the second tea towel around the first to keep it secure and slide it into a drawer handle or an oven handle like mine to display a pretty bow for your guests to admire in your kitchen.
I saw some amazing designer faux leather pillows recently, and while I love the look, I didn't love the price. To start, I want to apply some soft wax to the faux leather side. Now it's time to adhere the two placemats together. I want to only apply adhesive to the black or back sides of the placemats and keep it off the faux leather side. I'm going to use a combination of hot glue and tacky glue. The hot glue is going to provide an instant bond and hold the pieces together, while the tacky glue will be a little longer lasting and stronger. I'm working in sections and starting with the hot glue. I want to leave a good portion of the bottom open so that I can add the stuffing when these are dry. With everything ready now, I can start filling the pocket with the batting. I'm using up lots of scraps I had. It's quilting batting and nice and smooth, so it fits perfectly inside my new pillows. I can add as much batting as I'd like until I get the firmness I want. I'm going to use the same gluing method I used for the rest of them. I'll start with a line of hot glue and then add a line of tacky glue. Since the stuffing is pushing on the placemats, I'm also going to clip the opening with these big clips just to hold everything in place while the glue dries. I love how pretty these faux leather pillows are. They were super easy to make and cost a fraction of the designer ones. I hope this has inspired you to make your own pillows as well.
Are you like me and have a guest bedroom with a comfy bed but no headboard? It popped into my mind that a floral runner rug I had would make a perfect king headboard. All you need for this project is the rug, a 1x2 piece of wood that is 2 inches shorter than the length of the rug. Then line the piece of wood up under the rug. Now carefully pull back the rug and glue it along the bottom edge of the wood. Do not put the glue at the top because then it will make it hard to attach it to the wall. Once dry and adhered well, it is time to attach it to the wall. Attach one side by screwing through the wood and into the wall. Voila! Instant headboard. You could also use a seagrass runner or a tapestry as the headboard. Just pick whatever would work well with your style of bedroom and the linens you have.
I've been working on updating this bathroom, and the one thing it was really missing was a hand towel rack. Today, let's make a budget-friendly DIY that brings a high-end vibe without the high-end price. But instead of spending a fortune, I pulled this together with scrap wood, dollar store supplies, and a purse handle from Amazon. First, I dug around for a handful of scrap wood pieces from my cutoff bin. Continuing to dig around in my stash of supplies, I found some wired jute which came from the dollar store. To start, I wrapped the wired jute around the purse handle and gave it a tight twist. I used painter's tape at the other end of the jute to keep it from fraying while I worked. I did keep the full length of the twine just to ensure that when I did cut it, I had enough length. Then, I slid each wood piece onto the jute, stacking them in a playful geometric arrangement. As I went, I used small dabs of hot glue to hold the pieces in place exactly how and where I wanted them, so they wouldn't shift or spin around. Once the design was together and everything assembled, upstairs I went to the bathroom where I was hanging this cool piece of functional art. I measured by eye and cut the wired jute to length using wire cutters, twisted the end around into a loop, then hung the whole thing from a nail in the wall. It could just as easily hang from the ceiling or also a bracket attached to the wall. The best part about this DIY is how versatile it is. You can customize the wood pieces however you want. Paint them, stain them, leave them natural, and switch out the handle for any style or color you like.
Next time you're at the thrift store, pick up a couple of table runners. I got 2 thick woven table runners and 1 long one in a gingham pattern. The long one is a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it down to size. Once I have them appropriate, I want to make sure that the good side is facing down and the back sides are facing up. Then I'm just going to use some really strong duct tape to hold these together. This is a no-sew project. Duct tape is going to work great. I'm just going to go slow and make sure everything is aligned really well and then press that tape down along the seams. I want to make sure the edges of this rug are even all the way around. So I'm going to turn it around, and up on the top here, the gingham piece is just a little bit off. So I'm going to fold that down, make a nice press, and then duct tape that part down. Again, press those seams down really well, and this is going to hold up. Now I'm just going to place it in this little nook I have here, and this is a really great, inexpensive, thrifted rug for a corner of my home. I hope this inspired you to grab some thrift store table runners and make a rug of your own.
This is what I need for my project today. I'm going to decorate my cushion cover, and I've made a plan and I've cut a template out of cardboard. To make my pattern, I'm going to use 2 sheets of rice paper and 2 paper napkins, but we only need the top layer of the napkins. First thing I'm going to do is to coat the whole surface with gloss gel medium. Doesn't have to be gloss, you can use matte if that's what you've got, and you can use any kind of medium. And I'm doing it quite painstakingly because I want to make sure that I've covered all the surface and got into all the weave of the fabric. The cover is completely coated now, and I'm going to leave it to dry. Now I'm going to lay out all the pieces that I've cut out. I'm just going to start with a few pieces on the bottom, and I'm putting a little dab of the medium on each one just to make sure that they stay in place. Because now I'm taking some parchment paper and I have my iron on the hottest setting, and I'm going to iron over the pieces, and this will firmly stick them in place. All my pieces are firmly stuck down now, and I'm going to give the whole thing another coat of the gloss gel medium and leave it to dry. And here's my finished pillow. Doesn't it look great? I had so much fun making this. I got all the supplies from Ninny's Napkins online. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and you're inspired to have a go at this yourselves.
You want to get 2 yards of fabric in each color. So I have a solid color on the bottom and a plaid on top. I laid both pieces of fleece on top of each other, lined them up as best that I could, and now I need to go through and cut the edges so that they're perfectly aligned. Most fabrics have an edge that has the name brand printed on it or something like that. You want to make sure you cut all of that off. Then on each corner of the blanket, we want to cut out a 5" by 5" notch. Using a cutting mat like this is really helpful, or any kind of a ruler to make sure you're lined up nicely. I've got the fabric laid out on a big flat surface, and now I'm going to cut some fringe. So I've got a cutting mat underneath here which has 1" marks. I can also use a clear ruler like this and cut 1" marks, or I could grab a fabric marker and draw a line to keep myself on track. But I'm just going to cut 1" pieces of fringe all the way around the entire blanket, making sure to cut through both pieces of fabric. This is the best part. This is a no-sew blanket. So we just pick up a piece of fringe that has both pieces of fabric on it and we tie it together. Just a simple loop knot, push that knot up to the top and work your way all the way around the blanket. It's helpful to make sure the knots kind of sit in the same spot. It gives it a really nice finished look. And that's it. You have a gorgeous double-sided fleece blanket. This is really warm and cozy, and it makes an excellent gift. Wrap it up, tie a bow, and put it under the tree this year. I hope this inspired you to go pick up some colorful fleece and make a no-sew blanket.
Start with 4 foam wreath rounds from Dollar Tree and paint them white with chalk paint or spray paint. Glue 3 of the foam wreath rounds together with hot glue. Take stone spray paint and cover a stack of 3 and a stack of 2 foam rounds. Take 2 wood hoops and 1 metal hoop. Spray paint them white. Then use the stone spray paint after. Take a pizza pan and paint it white. Let it dry. Then use the stone spray paint after. Attach the hoops together with hot glue to create a 3D sphere. Use wood beads and hot glue them to secure the attachment to the foam rounds. Place the sphere on the foam stack. Cut 2 crevices in the foam to place the metal hoop. Then secure with hot glue. Place the 2 leftover foam rounds on the back of the pizza pan and secure with hot glue. Use rope and hot glue to reinforce the placement of hoops around the circumference of the circle. There you have it, an inexpensive way to create your own modern faux stone side table for your home. I hope this inspired you to try this DIY decor project.
Grab some inexpensive bandanas at the craft store. Choose a traditional red bandana pattern and also choose another pattern that coordinates with the traditional one. Iron your bandanas to eliminate any of those fold wrinkles. Then take a piece of Heat and Bond iron-on adhesive and cut it to fit the bandana. Place the Heat and Bond sheet on top of the bandana with the paper side up. Then take an iron, set it at medium heat, and iron the paper on top of the bandana. Once the paper has cooled, grab a corner of the paper and peel it off the bandana. You will be left with a shiny coat of adhesive on the bandana. Take your coordinating bandana and position it over the bonded bandana. Once you have the bandanas positioned, flip everything over and iron over the non-adhesive side of the first bandana. Set the bonded bandanas aside and grab a pair of old jeans that you don't want anymore. You can also pick up a pair at the thrift store. With a pair of sharp scissors, cut out the back pockets of the jeans. Simply cut around the perimeter of the pocket and then cut out the inside layer of the pocket. Heat and Bond also comes in strips. So next, place Heat and Bond strips on the sides of the back side of the pocket. Use your iron to press the strips. Peel the paper off. Next, place the pocket on the center but the right side of the bonded bandana. Press the pocket with the medium heat iron until the pocket is bonded to the bandanas. Take your new reversible placemat and let's set the table. For a barbecue table with a patriotic vibe, start with a fun melamine plate in a patriotic color. Tuck a summer or patriotic themed napkin, paper works, into the jean pocket and then add your fork, knife, and spoon. Now you're ready for a summertime barbecue or 4th of July celebration. But wait! Flip the placemat over and set a completely different table. There's no pocket on this side, but silverware still looks beautiful beside beautifully stacked plates. Add your coffee cup and a patterned cloth napkin and get ready to invite the neighbors over.
Pick up 4 doormats and duct tape from Dollar Tree. Tape 2 doormats together with duct tape. Make sure they are lined up on all of the edges. Attach the other 2 doormats to create one larger mat. Secure with duct tape across the outer and inner edges. Add duct tape strips all across one side of the mat, covering it completely. Take fabric of choice and wrap it around the large mat. Cut the edges of the fabric to make it about 3 to 4 inches wider than the perimeter of the mat. Fold around the mat and use a hot glue gun to secure the fabric in place. Take Scotchgard and spray a couple of layers on the mat outdoors to add a protective waterproof layer to make sure that this mat lasts. There you have it, an inexpensive way to create your own bath mat or small area rug for your home for less than $7. I hope this inspired you to try this Dollar Tree area rug project.
If you're looking for a unique way to add sophistication to your bedroom that's both budget and renter friendly, then here's your sign to head to the Dollar Tree. For the first step of this project, I headed to my bedroom and measured the width of my bed frame, which was 58 inches, then measured up to a height that looked nice, which was about 45 inches. I then headed to the Dollar Tree and picked up 4 foam boards and 6 rug grips. Next, I taped 2 of the foam boards together on the short sides with packing tape, followed by the other 2 boards, making sure to tape on both sides of the seam. Then I taped each set of 2 boards together along their long sides to make a larger rectangle. I covered all the foam boards with some beige contact paper that was a similar color to the color of my wall. Now the contact paper doesn't have to look perfect, and you can also choose to paint it. Next, I laid the furring strips on the top and sides of the foam board, then measured and cut the strips. I cut 1 strip at 59.5 inches for the top, 3 strips at 38.5 inches for the sides and middle, and 2 at 27.5 inches. Once the strips were cut, I hand sanded them with 220 grit sandpaper, wiped them down with a cloth, then stained them with a light stain and allowed them to fully dry. Next, I spray painted all 6 of the rug grips with that beige spray paint and allowed them to fully dry as well. The next day, starting with the top furring strip, I sprayed it with spray adhesive, followed by some E6000 glue on the outside edges and hot glue on the inside, then attached it to the foam board. I followed up by repeating that step with the right furring strip on the outside edge and the left one on the outside edge. Then I aligned the middle furring strip in the center, followed by the 2 shorter pieces to create a T in the middle. I placed 1 rug grip in each of the rectangles, then took the remaining rug grips and cut them to size so that the entire rectangle in each quadrant was completely filled with the rug grip. Then, one by one, I used some spray adhesive on the back of each rug grip and carefully attached it to the foam board inside the wooden rectangle. Once the glue and adhesives were all completely dry, I took the board to my bedroom and placed it on top of my bed frame. I moved the board around and got it to the exact place that I wanted it. Then I used some heavy-duty command strips that hold up to 20 pounds to attach the board to the wall behind the head of my bed. Now I have a beautiful renter-friendly faux rattan headboard that was inspired by crafting with cast. I hope that this inspires you to create your own upcycled headboard.
You're gonna start with some inexpensive cotton fabric. I picked this up at Joann. It is really festive. We're gonna start by folding the fabric in half so the right sides are together. I cut out a circle that's about 18 inches in diameter out of newspaper. Then I'm just gonna trace around it using a marker. This marker line will not show at the end of the pillow, so just use something that you can see. At the very top of the pillow, I'm using a little piece of paper here. This is about 3 inches wide, and I'm marking off a point here that's going to be the top of the ornament. Now I'm cutting everything out. You wanna cut through both layers of fabric when you're doing this. Leaving both pieces together like this, I'm using some quick dry fabric glue to attach them together. I'm going to leave the top open so that we can stuff this pillow when it's all dry. Now leave this to dry. Quick dry fabric glue will be ready to work with in about 30 minutes, but if you're using regular fabric glue, you might need to wait a couple of hours. Everything is dry, so I'm going to turn it right side out. And I need to fill this pillow. I just picked up some polyfill from the craft store, grabbing little pieces at a time and stuffing them into the pillow. I want to make sure I get into all the edges and make this a nice full and comfortable pillow. Once the pillow is full up to the top, I need to glue the edges together. So I'm going to grab a couple clothespins and the fabric glue, and I'm just going to fold in the seams and glue these together. It's helpful to do the round part first, and then you're also going to want to glue the top of the ornament together as well. Now we're going to let this dry again before we add our finishing touches. This pillow is coming together. It's starting to look like an ornament, but it needs a top to it. So I picked up some really thick metallic ribbon and I cut out a piece that's gonna wrap around the top of the ornament. This is gonna look like that little silver cap that sits on top. So I'm just gonna use some hot glue to attach the ribbon to itself and also attach it to the fabric so it's not moving anywhere. The final step is to add a hook to our ornament, and I am using a silver pipe cleaner to do this. Just use a little glue and attach it to the inside of the ribbon. And that's it. We've got an ornament pillow. This no-sew pillow was so easy to make. I made 3 of them. They're actually really comfortable and they're very durable. You can use these on your couch in your home this Christmas.
You're going to want to load up on some cheap dollar store hula hoops this summer after you see this fabulous entertaining hack. I'm laying down 6 21-inch hula hoops on some butcher block paper. Each hoop is getting spray painted in black. I applied several coats to ensure all areas were well covered. Since these hula hoops were covered in some kind of decorative tape, it required a little extra paint to cover the pattern, but it worked out great. I'm going to join 4 hoops to the first hoop, attaching evenly on all 4 sides. I'm attaching the first hoop loosely with a black zip tie, also from the dollar store. 3 more hula hoops are being attached to the first hula hoop, creating an even pattern of 5. A 6th hula hoop is being placed on top of an exterior hula hoop and attached with a zip tie on its left side only. Each hula hoop on each side is being positioned vertically, then attached to the top hoop to create a cube shape. Each zip tie is being trimmed off with scissors to clean the ends up. I'm attaching some lightweight twine to one side of the top hula hoop with double knots. Leaving the roll intact, I'm stringing the twine across the top hula hoop in random places to create a spiderweb effect. The twine is being wrapped twice around the hoop with each stop for added strength. Keeping the twine as tight as possible is the key. To end the twine, I'm leaving lots of extra twine before cutting it off the roll, then knotting and trimming the ends. Now I'm positioning the wood round onto the twine. And you now have yourself a stylish and affordable outdoor table that's lightweight enough to carry wherever you wish. Since it's weather resistant, this little outdoor table is perfect for a porch, patio, or even a lawn party. And who even knew hula hoops could look this chic?
Grab some pot holders the next time you're at the dollar store. I picked up 3 sets of pot holders the last time I was at the dollar store, and I have a few projects I want to make with them. First up, I want to use this pretty blue one, but I don't need the loop at the top. I'm going to use my seam rippers to remove the thread until the loop is undone. I don't want to cut off this long piece of trim, so I'm going to fold it over and use a little hot glue to hold it in place. Now I want to fold this into a cone shape. I'm going to go from the corner to corner the long way so that my cone can be a little bit larger. I'm going to roll over the bottom 2 corners until they create a cone, leaving the top part open. I want to add a little bit of trim, so I'm going to use this great plaid ribbon that I have. I can now slip in a set of silverware and they're going to fit perfectly. This makes my place settings look so much prettier when it's time for company. I'm starting by removing the loop, and then I'm going to glue it into the cone shape. I'm going to use a little bit of lace to trim this one up. I can hold it in place with the hot glue, and then I'm just going to tuck the ends under the opening around the top and around the back. Since I want to hang this cone, I'm going to use the same lace to make a little loop on the back. Now I can slip in my scissors and the other things that I use daily. This is the perfect little place to get these things off my counter and hung up neatly where I can easily get to them. I want to use this great feather pot holder and add a button to start. To find the spot where I need the button, I folded the pot holder over and brought the loop to the front. Now I know exactly where I need to place the button. With the button in place, I want to add some pouches inside so that I can store little things in them. I'm going to use clear sandwich bags and my hot glue gun. I want the bags to open on either end, so I'm running a line of hot glue down the center of the pot holder, and now I can line up the bag with the end and then stick it right down into the glue. After the glue is dried, I can trim off the bottom of the bag, and it's still going to stay sealed because of that line of hot glue. I'm going to add 3 more bags the same way so that I have 2 bags opening at each end of the pot holder. To finish off the center where that glue is, I'm going to use a strip of burlap ribbon to just cover it up. I'm going to make this one into a little sewing kit, but there's so many things that I could use this for. It's perfect really at home or for when I travel. For my last project, I'm going to make one more thing out of the pot holders. To start off, I've got this dish towel and I want to add a little dab of glue to the fold line in the middle. With the towel glued, I'm going to fold over the pot holder and glue the fold of the pot holder to the fold of the towel. You can also see that I've already added a button the same way I did for the last project. Once this glue has dried, It's that easy and it's ready to hang. I love this type of towel. They're so great to have in the kitchen and are so handy. I hope these projects have inspired you to grab some pot holders and see what you can do with them as well. The possibilities really are endless.
So you know those towels you've been hanging on to that are falling apart? Instead of throwing them away or turning them into rags, try this instead. I laid them out vertically on my cutting mat and using my large ruler and a rotary cutter, cut each towel into 4-inch strips. I ended up using a total of 3 towels, 2 charcoal gray and 1 beige. Next, I grabbed 2 gray strips and 1 beige strip, cut the hem off the tops, then stacked them on top of each other, sandwiching the beige strip in the middle. Then I lined the edges up and pinned them in place. I cut a long strand of heavy-duty thread, slid a needle to the middle of the thread, then tied the 2 ends in a double knot. Then I hand-stitched the pieces together. Next, I began folding each strip first so the long sides met in the middle, then folded it in half to get a more polished look. I pinned the strip all the way down to keep it folded. I repeated the same steps for the other 2 strips. Once the strips were folded, I began braiding the 3 strands. If you don't know how to braid, lay the 3 strands out on a flat surface. Start with the strand on the right side and cross it over to the left over the center strand. That strip is now the center strand. Next, cross the strand on the left to the right over the center strand, then continue braiding until you reach the end of the strands and place a pin in the end of the braid. When it was time to add another strip, I either hand stitched them together or used my sewing machine. Then I continued folding each strip, then went on braiding. Once I used all the strips, I hand stitched the end together. Now that I had my long giant braid, I found the beginning or the top of the braid, then started creating a spiral and sewing the outer braid piece to the inner braided piece. The stitches don't need to be perfect and there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I found the slip stitch to be the best. I continued creating a circle by spiraling the braid until I was happy with the size. Then I cut each end of each strip off, tucked in the ends, then stitched them in place. I cut a non-slip mat that I got from the Dollar Tree, placed that on the floor of my bathroom, then added my upcycled towel bath mat. I love that I was able to repurpose my old towels into a super comfy bath mat that is absorbent and machine washable.
Next time you're at Dollar Tree, head to their craft aisle and grab 10 floral foam rings, a pizza pan from the kitchen aisle. So to begin your project, you want to take some Gorilla Construction adhesive and you want to spread it around on one of the rings. Then you're going to take another ring and you're going to line up the edges and you're going to place it on top, making sure that it's completely centered. You're then going to continue this process working with all the rings, stacking them on top of each other with a layer of adhesive in between. Once you have all your rings stacked together and you do your very last ring, you just come in with a foam brush or a paintbrush and smooth out any of the construction adhesive that is oozed out in between the rings and just smooth it around. Then you're going to take your pizza pan and you can take any spray paint you want. I have an appliance epoxy and you're going to spray the pizza pan. While that is drying, I took some Mod Podge and I sprayed on the foam rings and then I rolled it in the dirt. I did this because I wanted one of those stone texture spray paints, but when I went to the craft aisle, the price of the stone spray paint was very expensive. So I thought I could recreate this on my own with a little bit of loose gravel and some Mod Podge. To get the desired color that I wanted, I then spray painted the entire thing with some Modern Mint in Rust-Oleum. So I spray painted a couple coats because it was seeping in through the gravel. So I did working in sections, so I would spray paint, let it dry, and then I would do a second coat because the gravel was soaking up a little bit of the paint. But this is a cheaper alternative than to using that expensive stone spray paint. Once it was dry, I took my construction adhesive again and then I glued my pizza pan onto the top, making sure that it was centered, and I let this set and dry overnight. When completed, here is my gorgeous little side table for my porch. Upon completing my project, I did wish that I would use some more of the rings to give it a little bit more height, but for my porch, it did work okay. I just boosted it up on a little box, but I may come back in and add some more tubes just to make it a little bit higher. But I really hope that this project has inspired you to get creative with things that you can find at Dollar Tree to make an adorable, modern side table for your porch. I love how it gives it almost this like concrete look on the floral tubes, but with a modern mint flair.
First and foremost, you're going to want to pick up a stain or a paint, whatever you choose to paint your blanket ladder, a pair of gloves if you don't want your hands to get paint or stain, an old rag, a pencil to mark where you're going to put your slats for the blankets. I cut these, this is still the furring strip, this is the 1x2 furring strip. They come in 8-foot sections at Lowe's. I cut these in 5 pieces and they are 20 inches long for each piece. The 2 main boards, as I'll show you, these are 6 foot long. So they're still the 1x2, but I cut them 6 feet long. You'll need a ruler or something to measure. If you have a staple gun, a nail gun, if you don't have any tools like this to secure your blanket ladder, you can use a drill with screws, or you can use just a regular hammer with nails. For the next step, you're gonna wanna get your gloves, put your gloves on. You're gonna wanna start grabbing your pieces of wood that are already cut, and I forgot to mention, if you do not have a circular saw, a hand saw, or anything to cut these, you can actually ask Lowe's or Home Depot. Sometimes they're pretty good about cutting them. And if you're using this type of stain, this is the Minwax wood finish. This is the dark walnut. If you're using this stain, a lot goes a long way. You do not need a whole lot. So literally, you're gonna just take a little corner of your old rag, old t-shirt, sock, whatever you have laying around the house. You're just gonna dip a little bit, because this wood is gonna soak up this stain really, really good. So you see how I just have a little bit, and I'm just gonna graze right across. And you see how this wood, it just soaks it right up. And you're gonna go through and do all of the pieces and all of the edges. If you have some of the edges that are a little frayed from cutting it with your saw, just take a small little piece of sandpaper and just sand it. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm just going through staining every edge. And then once that's stained, I'm gonna flip my rag to the other end using the dry side, and then I'm just gonna graze over everything I stained. Just wiping any excess stain off, and then this will dry pretty fast. Just like that. So you're gonna do the same technique with all 5 pieces that you're gonna use for your slots for your blankets. You can even switch this up if you wanna do some gray, some walnut. The colors are like endless. So once everything is stained, this is what they are gonna look like. You're gonna have all 5 slots that you're gonna use for your blankets. They're all gonna be stained or painted, whichever you decide. Then you're gonna have those 6-foot pieces, same thing, they're gonna be stained as well. I forgot to also mention, you guys, if you don't want this 6 foot or 20 inches wide like I chose, you can do any size. You even could make a smaller version, like maybe an 18-inch or a 24-inch version of this. 18 inches long, maybe I'd say 6 inches wide, for like a little tea towel holder for your kitchen, and hang like any like seasonal towels on it. That would be a really, really good idea as well. So here they are once they're stained. Now I'm going to show you in the next step how we're going to assemble this. Okay, so as you can see, I laid the 2 6-foot pieces out just like that. And then I kind of spaced out those 5 pieces for the slots, as you can see. I'm gonna bring you back to the top of the ladder up here. And I marked an area right here on each 6-foot piece. This is where I think I'm going to start the ladder. So from the top of your board here, take your ruler, measure from here to here. That's gonna be 12 inches, and you're gonna do it on both sides. From here to here, 12 inches. So I showed you guys exactly how to measure to make sure that they're all evenly spaced apart and they're all measured out properly. Next, I'm just gonna show you guys how to put them down with, if you have a nail gun, you can use a nail gun. And I'll do one piece just to show you guys. So again, make sure they're marked up with your pencil lines. And I'm just going to mark it again just to be 100% sure. And once they're marked, you're just gonna take your nail gun and you're gonna pop, I would say 2 brad nails on each end. Just like that. And you're gonna do that 5 times for each slot. Okay, so my favorite part about some of these little DIY projects is just really styling them. Some things I make just to decorate for like the seasons. So this blanket ladder in particular, I'm gonna decorate just with like a buffalo check blanket. I added just like a little vase with some greenery down here at the bottom of it, just because it still is summer and it's still nice. Around the holidays, like fall, you could add like a little fall wreath or like a little pumpkin down on the floor with like a fall blanket. That would be super cute. But I'm just gonna take this buffalo check blanket, and I just got like just these cute little farmhouse beads with like the initial. You can just kind of add it to make it really cute. So you can really use this though for all, like you can use every slot for blankets. I'm probably only gonna use 1 or 2 for blankets and the rest for like a little bit of decor. So drape your blanket down. Just kind of drape it like so it's just kind of flowing at an angle. Just like, let's see, just like that. Then like I'm just gonna use this little piece of bead and maybe just add it to the top, just to kind of hang. And it just gives it that perfect farmhouse touch. So here you have it. This is a 6-foot blanket ladder. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Like I said, this is a super easy DIY, under $10.
What I did was I went ahead and grabbed a blanket for our room. So I'm gonna lay this all out like this. Now this is gonna hang over, but we'll take care of that later. And what I did was I went ahead and already pre-cut the wood that I needed. 60 inches wide and 34 inches tall. That way I was able to use one 8-foot piece of board to do 2 sides. So the first thing we're gonna do is take our wood that we've already pre-cut, we're gonna lay out the frame just like this, and we've got to secure these. You can use any kind of stapler. I have an air stapler, so I'm gonna use that. And I just put them inside just like this. 3 of them will do fine, just like that. It's gonna work just fine. Now that we've got the frame attached, we wanna give it a little bit of strength. So definitely what you can use, just some regular stir sticks or paint sticks. Put those at a 45-degree angle, and again, just staple them on there. That's gonna give you the support that you need. Now that we got the frame done, all we gotta do is take our blanket and we're gonna wrap it around the frame and give it staples up and down, holding it in place. You wanna make sure that you are as straight as possible with the design on the fabric. There's a little bit extra along the top and the bottom, which is fine, because what we're gonna do then is we're gonna cut that extra off. So we'll just keep stapling, and it doesn't have to be a lot of staples because you're not pulling at this. This is gonna be a design that we're gonna put on the wall. Now that we've done the top and one of the sides, go to the other side and we're gonna flip that over and go ahead and staple that too. Okay, so what I've done now is flip this around because we got the top and the 2 sides, and this is the bottom, or it can be the top, it's up to you. There's extra here. So all it takes is a pair of scissors just to cut that extra off. Remember, this is gonna be behind, against the wall. Doesn't have to be the most perfect cut, just as long as we got enough to staple. So we'll go ahead and just cut this off, and then what we'll do is we'll staple it all the way across the top. Then it'll be ready for fasteners. Okay, now that we've got it all stapled, it's really strong. What we're gonna do on the final is go ahead and put a wood frame around it. Then we'll put some hangers on it and we'll come back and show you the final product. So here it is, our final project. I think it turned out just great. The colors exactly matched what we want and it looks great as a headboard. You can use it as a small art piece. Any kind of blanket or rug framed is gonna look good.
Grab yourselves some white pillow covers from a big box store. Measure the area that you want to cover with the leather and add 1/2 inch to each dimension. Then I cut up some brown paper to the same dimensions and scrunched it up really tight to make lots and lots of wrinkles. Smooth it all out. The next step is to stain this paper. Now you can use any kind of stain, you can use acrylic paint. I'm using some brown glaze and I've mixed it with water to make it spread easier. And I'm working it in really hard into the paper to make sure all the wrinkles show. Keep moving across the paper until all of it's covered and remove any excess with a paper kitchen towel. And as you can see, the wrinkles are really showing up now and making this look like it is worn leather. Keep going and then leave the whole thing to dry. Next, I'm going to seal the paper, and to do this, I'm using some gloss gel medium. Any make will do. Again, I've mixed it with some water and I'm spreading it quite liberally across the whole paper, working it into those wrinkles. Again, use a kitchen towel to wipe off any excess. Keep going until the whole paper is covered and then leave it to dry. And I will tell you that it actually starts to feel very supple and very leather-like. The next thing I do is cut up some bubble wrap, and I'm putting this inside the pillow cover, and this is going to protect the underneath part from my next step, which is to apply some gloss gel medium. It's the same medium I used on the paper to seal it. I've taped off the area of the pillow that I don't want to cover, and now I'm applying this gel medium with a brush very liberally. We really need a good coating of this all over. Keep going until the whole thing is covered. And then taking the paper, which is now dry, you press it down while the gel medium is still wet. Leave it to dry. It will take a couple of hours, and then when it is dry, flip it over and trim away the excess paper with a pair of scissors, and this will give you a really neat edge. And here are my pillows. I'm so excited by them. They feel lovely and they look amazing.
I scooped up this rug off of Facebook Marketplace. There were some small yellow spots and a little bit of staining, so I decided it needed a new look. I am going to vacuum the rug, making sure I get rid of any hair or dirt that are in the fibers, and then I'm going to make sure that I spray the whole rug with just some water in a spray bottle just to saturate the rug and get it a little bit damp before dyeing it. I followed the instructions on the back of the dye box for how to mix up my dye, but I did make sure I used boiling hot water, and I'm also using a spray bottle so that I can spray it onto my rug. So I just went ahead and sprayed on the dye, covering the entire rug. I was in such a hurry to get my rug done that I did forget to put on gloves at first, so don't be like me and make sure you put on gloves or you will end up with this dye all over your fingers. You can also take a cloth and rub the dye into the fibers of the rug, and then I'm also doing a second coat of the dye to get the desired color that I'm after. While my dye is setting into my rug, I'm going to make some tassels with the yarn that I picked up. So I'm going to begin by looping around the yarn around my 4 fingers until I have the desired thickness for my tassel. You can make them as thin or as thick as you want. Then I'm going to cut off a piece of string and I'm going to loop that underneath of my tassel ball, and I'm going to tie it at the top. So I'm just going to tie it like this in a couple of quick knots. Then I'm going to take another piece of yarn that I've cut off that's about 6 to 10 inches, and I'm going to take my tassel little ball here and I'm going to place that underneath close to the top but leaving about a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to tie that off to create the head of my tassel. So when you pull it nice and tight here, it creates a little ball at the top, and I'm just going to double knot that as well. Then I'm going to come in with a pair of scissors and I'm going to push my thumb through this little loop here that we have, and I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to cut open the loop. So now we have the phrase of our tassel. And then I'm just going to use my scissors to cut it and adjust it to whatever length, trim them up so they're all the same length and size. So this is one tassel done here, and then I made a whole bunch of tassels. I just kept sitting there making tassels till I had a ton that I'm going to place on my rug at the ends. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to line them out. Now because of this ombre wool, I ended up with lighter tassels and darker tassels, which I thought was pretty neat. So I'm going to actually do one dark and one light every other. Then I took this big darning needle and I just threaded the end of the tassel on there, and then I pushed it through the border of my rug, and I'm going to just tie it on. Once I had it all tied on and secure, I just trimmed off the ends with a pair of scissors and then continued working on down the rug to tie the rest of them on. Once I had them all tied on, this is my finished rug here. I've set it up in my entryway with a nice bohemian feel. I've layered a jute rug underneath, and I just love the uniqueness of this rug. So I could have been a little bit more even with the dye, but honestly I do love the uniqueness of this, and it's something that I made practically for nothing. I got this rug for a steal of a deal.
Today's project starts with that popular toy started 68 years ago called the hula hoop. We're going to lay out 6 of these so we can get a good measurement from side to side and top to bottom. Our lowest sides are going to be 47.5 inches. We're going to need 2 of these, so I used my saw to cut 2 pieces. The longest are going to be 68.5 inches. Again, I'm going to need to cut 2 of these. Once I get these all cut out, it's time to lay them out. The 2 long ends on one side and the 2 short ends on the other. I used 1x2s to put this together because they don't have to be very thick. I used brad nails to put each of the ends together. You can use screws, but these work just as good. I need to put 3 of these on each end. I could put some wood glue to make it even stronger. Once I got the frame all glued up, I'm going to go ahead and put the hula hoops back in place, 6 of them. Now, once these are in place, I need to use some zip ties to put them together. When you're using the zip ties, you can use any color, but white is the most paintable. Also, if you have any extra, make sure you cut that off. I also want to make sure the thick part is on the back side. Now that all 6 are in, I'm going to place one in between the middle, right where the 4 come together. And again, anywhere they touch another hula hoop, I want to use a zip tie to put it together. Once I get that one down, I'm going to put the 8th one down right there in the middle and zip tie it. Right in the middle where all 4 come together, we're going to put one last zip tie. Once these are all put together, it's super strong, and then it's time to paint. I'm going to go with the gray primer look on this one. You can go with white or gold or your paint of choice. Painting plastic, especially the hula hoop, you want to make sure you put small coats on first, even if you have to put 2 or 3 coats. If you put it too thick, it's going to run everywhere and it's going to make some drips. While that was drying, I realized, how am I going to hold it up? I'm going to need to build some mini legs for this. So I took some of the scrap wood I had, cut them at 45-degree angles for some of the bracing, and I put it on there. And it actually turned out really nice and really strong. But I do need to paint that also, so again, it's with the same color, the gray primer. I'm going to let this all dry up, and then I'm going to take some vines that I got, and I'm going to lay it all over the top. My biggest regret was I should have put more vines on, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to wrap this all around the top and on the sides. Now, this is going to be your project, so if you want to wrap it around all the hula hoops, you can, but make it look good for yourself, whatever you want to do. But last but not least, I wanted to put some lights on too. Watch this. And I used green because it made the vines look really good. You can go with any color you want, any type of vine or decor, and any type of lights, and it looks like a great backdrop. Also, the more vines you put on, it could turn out as a privacy screen, or you could use this as a backdrop at a wedding reception. I hope this inspired you to build your own hula hoop privacy screen.
I love a good upcycle, and these are the perfect projects for some thrifted or ripped jeans that you don't want to throw out. To get the jeans ready for these projects, I want to start by cutting off the pockets and the waistline of each pair. I'm using a very sharp pair of fabric scissors so that I can easily cut close to the seams. Now that the jeans are ready to go, I want to start with the waistline piece. I was hoping to use the darker piece, but the belt loops make it difficult even when they are cut off. I'm going to use the lighter piece and trim the pieces to 2 to 3 inches from the button and the buttonhole. Next, I want to use one of the larger pieces of denim I was able to save and cut out a piece that can be used as a napkin. I could make a square by folding the piece in half and then folding it into a triangle. To create the napkin ring, I'm going to use the button and the buttonhole pieces that I saved. I can trim them off to make them a little shorter and then hot glue the ends together to make the napkin ring. Next up, I want to create a placemat with one of the large pieces of denim that I was able to save. I want to trim off any extra seams and then I'm going to leave the edges raw. I really like the frayed look on the raw edges. To give the placemat a little character, I'm going to glue on one of the pockets. I can add the hot glue to the back and then put it in place. The glue will dry quickly and hold the pocket perfectly. Finally, I want to make one more thing with the saved pockets. I grabbed some of this pretty plaid fabric that I saved from a thrifted shirt and I'm going to combine it with one of the small pockets. Next, I want to trim off the excess plaid fabric around the bottom of the pocket and up the sides. I don't want to cut any further though than the top edge of the pocket. To finish the edges of the plaid fabric above the pocket, I'm going to turn them under about 1/2 inch and use the hot glue to stick the seams in place. I saved the pockets from the plaid shirt, cutting them the same way I did for the jeans, and I want to finish this off by adding the plaid pocket over the jean pocket. I think these jean upcycles turned out so cute and they're perfect for a summer party. I hope this has inspired you to grab some thrifted jeans as well.